Suffering is not a flaw in life. It is part of its design. In Buddhism, this fundamental truth is called dukkha. Often translated as suffering, dukkha also encompasses dissatisfaction, unease, and the subtle ache of things not being quite right. The Buddha's first noble truth does not sugarcoat reality. It says plainly, life involves suffering. Birth, aging, illness, loss, and death are all unavoidable. But it doesn't stop there. The recognition of suffering is not a cause for despair. It is the beginning of wisdom. To deny suffering is to live in delusion. We distract ourselves, numb the pain, or chase fleeting pleasures to escape it. But Buddhism invites us to turn toward our pain, not away from it. Why? Because only when we see our suffering clearly can we begin to understand it. And only through understanding can we be free of it. This is the heart of Buddhist compassion, not blind optimism, but the courage to face life as it truly is. To suffer is not to fail. It is to be human. And in seeing our common vulnerability, we connect more deeply with others and with the present moment. The first noble truth doesn't trap us, it opens the door to liberation. If suffering is the symptom, what is its root? According to the Buddha, two forces lie at the heart of our pain: craving and aversion. Tanha, or craving, is the relentless longing for things to be different. More pleasure, more security, more certainty. It is the constant mental grasping at what we don't have or the desperate clinging to what we fear losing. On the other side is dosa, aversion, the resistance to discomfort, the pushing away of anything unpleasant, from physical pain to emotional sorrow. These two forces keep us spinning in circles. We reach for what feels good, try to escape what hurts, and in the process, we reinforce the illusion that peace lies somewhere outside of us. Buddhism teaches that both craving and aversion are rooted in ignorance, avijjā, a misunderstanding of how reality works. We believe that by controlling external conditions, we can finally be happy. But life resists our attempts to mold it. People change. Bodies age. Plans fall apart. When we recognize how craving and aversion create suffering, we begin to loosen their grip. We don't have to suppress our desires or deny our feelings. Instead, we meet them with awareness. We name them gently, and with time, they begin to dissolve. This insight doesn't come from force, it comes from stillness and clarity. The freedom we seek is not found in getting what we want or avoiding what we don't want. It's found in no longer being ruled by either. We suffer not only because of what happens, but because we believe it shouldn't be happening. This resistance is born from a deep misunderstanding that life should be stable, predictable, and controllable. Buddhism challenges this illusion through the teaching of anicca, impermanence. Everything we cling to, our health, our relationships, our beliefs, even our sense of self, is in constant flux. When we forget this, we grip tighter, trying to hold life still. And when life inevitably changes, we suffer. But what if impermanence isn't the enemy? What if it's the path to peace? To see clearly is to understand that change is not a flaw in existence. It is its very nature. A flower wilts, a wave crashes, a breath passes. Each moment arises and fades. The problem isn't that things change. The problem is that we expect them not to. We demand permanence in a world that offers none. Freedom begins when we soften that demand. When we accept that nothing lasts, we stop clinging and start living. We appreciate beauty as it is, not as we wish it to be. We stop blaming ourselves for what we couldn't hold on to, and we begin to find grace not despite change, but within it. Impermanence can feel terrifying at first, but it is also a doorway. It reminds us that pain won't last forever, that joy can return, and that the self we think we must protect is just as fluid as the world around it. Let go, the Dharma says, not in despair, but in trust. When pain arises, our instinct is to escape it. But in Buddhist practice, the path to freedom is not through avoidance, it's through presence. Sati, or mindfulness, invites us to bring gentle, non-judgmental awareness to whatever is happening, especially when it's difficult. This is not passive resignation. It is active, courageous attention. Rather than being swept away by suffering or burying it, we sit with it. We observe its texture, its breath, its movement. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see that suffering is not a solid wall, it is a wave. It rises, peaks, and fades. By staying present, we discover that even pain changes. Even sadness breathes. And in that space of observation, we find a kind of peace, not because the pain is gone, but because we are no longer lost inside it. Mindfulness teaches us to meet each moment without resistance. We feel the tightness in the chest, the racing thoughts, the trembling in the body, and we say, "This too." We don't have to like what we find. We just have to be willing to stay. Over time, this willingness becomes a refuge. We realize we are not our suffering. We are the awareness that holds it. This simple practice, returning to the breath, returning to now, is the anchor in the storm. It does not fix life, but it allows us to live it with openness, dignity, and depth. Mindfulness doesn't eliminate pain. It transforms our relationship with it. Pain is a universal experience, but how we hold it makes all the difference. Buddhism offers karu, compassion, not as sentimentality, but as a powerful, transformative force. When we bring compassion to our suffering, we stop treating it as a problem to be solved and begin to treat it as a wound to be cared for. We soften around the pain instead of hardening against it. We stop judging ourselves for hurting and instead offer kindness to the part of us that is struggling. This inner gentleness is not weakness, it's wisdom. It recognizes that suffering is not personal failure. It is part of being alive. Just as we would comfort a friend in pain, we learn to comfort ourselves. We speak inwardly with warmth. This is hard, and it's okay to feel it. In doing so, we break the cycle of self-criticism that often intensifies our suffering. But compassion doesn't end with ourselves. As we become more intimate with our own pain, our hearts open naturally to the pain of others. We realize we're not alone in our struggles. Everyone is carrying something. This shared vulnerability is the ground of connection. When we meet others with compassion, we're no longer trying to fix them. We're simply willing to sit with them in their suffering, as we've learned to sit with our own. Compassion doesn't erase pain. It transforms its edges. It makes the unbearable bearable. And in the warmth of that soft holding, something begins to heal. Letting go is often misunderstood. It doesn't mean giving up, nor does it mean pretending not to care. In the Buddhist path, letting go, vossagga, is the gentle art of releasing attachment. It is the inner shift from grasping to openness, from clinging to trust. Suffering often arises not from what happens, but from our resistance to what is. We hold tightly to expectations, outcomes, people, and identities. And when they shift, as all things do, we are torn apart. But what if letting go isn't loss, but liberation? The Buddha taught that everything we cling to is impermanent. Our attachments, though understandable, create tension. We want things to stay the same, to go our way. But life doesn't submit to our plans. Letting go means seeing this clearly, not with despair, but with compassion. It means loosening the inner fist that says, "This must be mine," and replacing it with, "This too is part of the flow." This practice doesn't ask us to abandon love or responsibility. It asks us to love more freely, without possession. To act wisely, without demand. Letting go is not cold detachment. It's warm surrender. It says, "I will care deeply, but I will not cling. I will show up fully, but I will not control." And in that space, we begin to breathe again. We realize we don't need to force life to fit our narrative. We trust it enough to let it unfold. Letting go doesn't mean we feel nothing. It means we're no longer ruled by everything. The Buddhist path is not abstract philosophy. It is a living, breathing way to walk through suffering with wisdom and grace. The Eightfold Path offers 8 interconnected practices that serve as a guide for liberation. These are not rigid commandments, but invitations to live in alignment with truth. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Each step works like a compass, pointing us toward freedom. Right view helps us see clearly that suffering has causes and can be transformed. Right intention reminds us to respond with kindness instead of aggression, to let go rather than grasp. Right speech and action show us how to live ethically, speaking truthfully, causing no harm. Right livelihood calls us to align our work with compassion, avoiding exploitation or deceit. Right effort is the gentle persistence to cultivate what uplifts and abandon what destroys. Right mindfulness is the continual returning to presence, observing the moment without judgment. And right concentration teaches us to quiet the mind, developing clarity and stillness through meditation. Together, these 8 limbs form a path, not to perfection, but to liberation. They don't promise a life without pain, but a life where pain is met with wisdom, clarity, and deep peace. In walking this path, we no longer feel like victims of suffering. We become students of it. Each step is a practice. Each moment is an opportunity. And each breath brings us closer to the freedom that was never far away. It was always here, waiting within. We often think freedom means escaping suffering, but the Buddha taught something more profound. True freedom arises within suffering, not outside of it. This doesn't mean we should seek pain, but that we should stop running from it. When we stop trying to numb, avoid, or fix every difficult experience, we begin to notice something unexpected. There is space around the suffering. And in that space, we find peace. This peace doesn't depend on conditions. It isn't fragile or fleeting. It is born from deep understanding, seeing clearly that pain is part of life, but suffering is not our identity. We are not the storm. We are the sky that holds it. We are not the brokenness. We are the presence that embraces it. This insight doesn't come through force. It unfolds quietly, like dawn breaking after a long night. Buddhist teachings don't offer escape routes. They offer tools to meet life as it is, with courage, compassion, and clarity. When we bring awareness to our pain, soften around it with compassion, and let go of the urge to control, we don't erase suffering, we transform it. We stop seeing it as punishment or failure and begin to see it as teacher, as doorway. This is the paradox of the path. Suffering, when embraced with wisdom, can become the very ground of awakening. It humbles us, opens us, reshapes us. And slowly, it reveals a deeper truth. Peace was never in the absence of pain. It was in the presence we bring to it. Take a breath. Let it be deep, gentle, and full. Let it remind you that in this very moment, there is nothing to fix, nothing to chase, nothing missing. You have walked through the roots of suffering, seen its many forms, craving, resistance, confusion, and discovered a truth more spacious than pain, the capacity to stay, to see clearly, to meet each moment with a soft heart and an open hand. This journey is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering what you already are, awake, aware, and deeply whole. Pain will still come. Loss will still arrive. But now, you know the way to meet them. With breath, with presence, with compassion, and with a quiet knowing that even suffering can be held in stillness. Let the teachings settle like dust on a quiet morning. You don't need to grasp them. Let them live in you as seeds. They will grow when the time is right. You are not alone. Every being walks this path of joy and sorrow, holding hope and heartbreak side by side. And in that shared journey, there is deep belonging. So rest now. Let go of striving. Feel the ground beneath you, the breath within you, and the silence around you. This is enough. You are enough. May peace find you where you are. May your suffering soften. May your heart remain open. And may your path be light.